Alright, I wanted to do a quick video on reincarnation and the Russian boy Boriska or Boris. I believe Boris in Russian is Boriska, but for this video we're going to call him Boris. Just plain Boris. Now, this is reincarnation. This boy, Boris, from Russia, 7 years old, says he's from Mars. So his previous life, he lived on Mars. I know you're thinking, is this real? Is this real? But if he's in previous life on Mars, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of years ago, when there was a civilization on Mars, everyone knows that there was a civilization on Mars. It was probably exactly like us. In fact, we are probably Martians. There's a lot of people who think there was a civilization on Mars. They blew up their planet. They developed nuclear weapons and weapons beyond our scope, and they blew up their planet. But a lot of people escaped and came to Earth. Some people think we are Martians. We are the people from Mars and started a colony here, and that's what a lot of people think. But all right, so we're going to talk a little bit about reincarnation. You're thinking, is it real? Is reincarnation real? Do we just live a life and then we go into limbo for a while, we're reborn in another body, and we live another life? And many religions believe this, and a lot of people think that Christianity believes this also. I know all you Christians are going to say, no, that's blasphemy. But there was supposedly, Jesus talked about reincarnation quite a bit, but it was suppressed. It wasn't put in the Bible that we have now, the King James Version. A lot of things weren't added to that, like the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch was not allowed in our Bible, the King James Version. Why? Because it had a lot of controversial things in there. You should read the Book of Enoch. It's really interesting. And yeah, I've read most of it and I've listened to it. And you can check out my other videos. I think I have a video on the Book of Enoch, but I'm pretty sure he talks about reincarnation, but I'm not 100% sure. If you can let me know, put it in the comments below. Does Enoch, in the Book of Enoch, is reincarnation talked about? If it is, please put it in the comments for me. All right. So now let's talk about a little bit about what reincarnation is. And I read a book called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss, M.D. Now, this guy's a medical doctor. He is no quack, okay? Here's a little quick background on Brian Weiss. Born in 1944, went to Columbia University, graduated, then he went to Yale Medical School, and he graduated with a full PhD, MD, in 1970. So he was a medical doctor. Then he went back to school to learn 2 years in psychiatry. He decided he wanted to actually be more of a psychiatrist. So he switched professions, went into psychiatry. Okay, then in psychiatry, one of the methods is, if you have a problem of some kind or an issue, they regress you and they try to figure out, okay, if let's say you're 50 years old, they go back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. They go back to when you were a child. They try to figure out, let's say if you have a fear of falling, you have a fear of heights, okay? They go back in your childhood, they try to figure out when and why this happened, and then they fix it. Well, Brian Weiss, MD, was doing this with a patient, and he went he went to the childhood, and they went past. And he's thinking, what do you mean past? He went into another life, and he didn't believe it. He was a total skeptic. He did not believe it. You have to read this book. I'm not going to give it away completely. But no, He was a scientist, an MD, and you know how strict MDs are, and a psychiatrist. He said, no way, past lives, it can't be. Well, this first case he had was right in his face, and this woman was talking about a past life. And he recorded everything. Everything was recorded on videotape or audio tape or whatever, but it was 100% recorded. And they checked. He asked some questions that there's no way she could have read it in a book or looked it up in a video. Or he 100% checked. There were some details in her past life regression that were checked out later to be 100% real. And there's no way she could have known this. There is no possible way. And if that was the only one, you could say, well, whatever. But he had thousands of these, okay? It says here, Weiss claims he has regressed more than 4,000 patients since 1980. And you've got to read the book. Again, the book is called Many Lives, Many Masters. You've got to read it. You can get it anywhere cheap. And it's amazing. And this guy's no quack. He went on to be a professor to teach in some big schools. So let's see, teach in Yale or Columbia, or I can't see exactly. But he was let's see. Universal residency, head of psychiatry. Okay, he was the head of psychiatry in Mount Sinai Medical Center. So he used to teach psychiatrists. In fact, if you read his book, he said he never would talk about this until deep into his career. So then, as soon as he brought it up, most of the people he was talking to, he trained. So they weren't going to say, oh, he's a quack, because they already trained him, and he had impeccable career. Not a quack. He says past lives are real. I believe him. All right. So now let's get into this Russian. I just wanted to tell you that quick, because if you think, oh well, this little Russian boy Boris, he's just, his parents taught him, or he saw it in a movie, or he read it in a book. No, there's no way. Once you hear the story, you will believe reincarnation is real. All right. So let's read it quick. Russian boy claims he's from Mars, and he issues an apocalyptic warning that makes experts uneasy. We've all wondered about life on other planets. It's easy to get carried away daydreaming about unending vastness of space. The feeling there just has to be someone or something else living out there is just inevitable. But somehow we still label these thoughts as science fiction. However, in the last 2 decades, one extraordinary kid from Russia has made claims of extraterrestrial life that have scientists completely perplexed. While many people sensibly doubt the boy's tale he's been spreading for over 22 years, others admit his claims contain uncanny details about life on Mars. Just 2 weeks after Boris Kipranovich was born, he held his head up without support. 2 weeks. From that incredible moment forward, his parents knew he was different. And as he grew, Boris only continued to impress. Now again, Boris or Boriska, however you want to say it. Weeks after his 1996 birthday, for instance, the Russian native boy, this is weeks, started speaking. And at 1.5-year-old, Boris could read and draw. He earned early admittance into kindergarten at age 2, where he amazed teachers. Now, let me tell you, I've got kids. You might have kids, or you're familiar with kids. If your kid is talking by 2 years old, that's pretty good. This kid was speaking right away, weeks after he was born. It's amazing. So this kid was definitely a prodigy. Strangely, though, Boris intimately knew the universe, despite having never been taught about space. He knew planets, stars, and constellations. Expert analysis dubbed Boris a child genius, which made a claim he made at age 7 even stranger. All right, so this kid knew all about planets and stars and everything. It's making the case stronger that he was born again. His soul went into the body was reborn. At age 7, Boris spent a weekend camping with his parents and their friends. Wearing a t-shirt and a baseball cap, the adolescent asked the adults to quiet down. He had a story to tell. While some adults ignored the boy at first, eventually the campsite grew quiet. Boris had everyone's attention. He told everyone he was from Mars and that he'd come to save the world. More precisely, Boris asserted that in a previous life he lived on Mars. Now, he was reborn on Earth along with others who call themselves indigo children. This might give you pause, but remember, Boris knew space at a level that baffled experts. As a child and in his teens, Boris reaffirmed most of what he said at the campfire in an interview. His story around the fire continued. Now remember, he was very young here. According to Boris, Mars residents stop aging at 35. A benefit of breathing carbon dioxide, he said. They're also tall, he noted, and have killer technology that led to interstellar travel, which he recalled fondly. I remember that time when I was 13 or 14 years old, Boris said of his previous life. The Martians were waging wars, so I would often have to participate in air raids with a friend of mine. We could travel in time and space, flying around in spaceships, but we would observe life on Earth in triangular aircraft. Martian spaceships are very complicated. They are layered, and they can fly all across the universe. But these advances led to destruction. Because of those advanced technologies, Martians wiped themselves out in a nuclear conflict years ago. From there, he delivered his warning. His people, as he referred to those who survived the catastrophes on Mars, saw similarities between attitudes on current Earth and Mars prior to destruction. In other words, in a world of power-hungry oligarchs and trigger-happy dictators, Earth faced a fate similar to those in Boris's alleged homeland. But the boy offered some good news to humans too. The human life will change when the Sphinx is opened, Boris said. It has an opening mechanism somewhere behind the ear. He admitted, however, he didn't know the specifics. Now, this is interesting because I just heard a radio program that there's a university right now that's looking to go into the Sphinx and extract. They know there's a hollow area in the Sphinx, and they're going to extract information. And according to them, it could be the halls of Atlantis. It could be a huge library of some kind. And if you know Edgar Cayce predicted this many, many years ago. I don't know, 1920s or 30s. He said that a hall of Atlantis library records would be found under the Sphinx. That was many years ago, way before this Boris was born here again on Earth. So that's interesting. Boris also alleged the pyramids of Giza hold secrets beyond our wildest dreams. But surely, though, these are just the ramblings of a kid who read some science fiction at an impressionable age, right? No. In 2017, a decade and a half after Boris's campfire story, a decade and a half, experts made a startling discovery about the Great Pyramid of Giza. Using proprietary technology, using cosmic ray-based imaging, scientists discovered a 100-foot-long void in the heart of the pyramid, just above the Grand Gallery. No one could say for sure what was in the void. If you asked Boris about the void, however, he might have a creative answer to offer. Who knows? Maybe he's holding a spaceship. Maybe it's holding a spaceship capable of intergalactic travel. Over the years, Boris participated in plenty of interviews, and while plenty of people are still skeptical, others can't help to be drawn in by his story. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to Mars to see for ourselves, especially if we're motivated by this girl. 17-year-old Alyssa Carson from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is just like any other teenager. She plays soccer with her friends and blah, 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 but she's not a regular teen. While kids her age fill out college applications or worry about their lives after school, Alyssa has her eyes on another kind of application, one with a chance to change not just her life, but the world itself. The second she turns 18 in 2019, which is this year, Alyssa plans on filling out the application for NASA's astronaut training program. Her hope isn't to study on the International Space Station or leap on the moon. Her ambitions go even further. If everything goes according to Alyssa's plan, she'll be the first human ever to set foot on Mars. And this isn't some silly teenage dream. Her dedication to this goal makes even the most committed workaholic's head spin. Her interest in space started at just 3 years old. Little Alyssa watched an episode of The Backyardigans, and now she wants to go to Mars. So this little girl wants to go to Mars. That's amazing. I'm not too sure how this ties into Boris, but I hope she makes it to Mars. So what I want you to get out of this article is that number one, reincarnation's real. I had a kind of a taste of it. I was probably 3 years old, and this is one of my earliest memories. I was sleeping in my bedroom, go to bed, kid. I'm in there sleeping, kind of half asleep, half awake. And I looked at my wall, and I saw dials and gauges, and it looked like the inside of a submarine. And I know what you're thinking. I saw a movie or whatever, but I don't think so. This was real. I mean, it looked like I was in the submarine. So I've only had the dream or a vision or whatever once. It was real interesting. But I believe I could have possibly been reincarnated from someone who died, who lived and served, maybe died on a submarine, probably World War II, could be World War I. I can kind of still see it a little bit. Just a lot of pipes and gauges and dials and levers and handles and all that stuff. It just looked like a submarine. So again, in closing, we've got Boriska, claimed he lived on Mars. He's back on Earth now, and gave us kind of a warning. We've got to change our ways or we'll blow ourselves up, which is pretty obvious. And if you could check out this book, Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss, you'll really enjoy it. And I hope you liked the video. Please like it. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. And don't forget to click the bell, because then you'll be notified of all my new videos. All right, so it is time to fly. And we're signing off.